Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining our Ciena Solutions Challenge Educator Roundtable. And we are here with 4 educators who have participated in the Ciena Solutions Challenge. They're going to share their experiences with the challenge. We will also go over the challenge and have time to answer questions. But first, to get started, I will introduce myself, and feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. You can say your name, where you're from, where and what you teach. And I'll start with introduction of myself. My name is Elise Gaynor. I'm one of the program staff here on the Ciena Solutions Challenge by Digital Promise. I'm here with my colleagues, Krissa and Lisa, who are off screen, but they will be here. Oh, there's Krissa waving. They'll be here to help answer any questions and participate in the discussion as well. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Digital Promise, we are a nonprofit organization. We build powerful networks and take on grand challenges by working at the intersection of researchers, entrepreneurs, and educators. And our vision is that all people at every stage of their life have access to learning experiences that help them acquire the knowledge and skills that they need to thrive and continuously learn in an ever-changing world. And then we work with Ciena on this project, hence the name Ciena Solutions Challenge. They are a networking, systems, service, and software company. Ciena's digital inclusion program aims to mobilize the company's global workforce, leverage its innovation leadership, and collaborate with customers, suppliers, and other partners to bridge the digital divide. Ciena has committed to fund 10 million USD over a 5-year period on programming that promotes digital inclusion through greater connectivity, access to technology, and digital skilling, with a goal of expanding opportunities for over 100,000 underserved students in our global communities. So let's dig into what the challenge is. The Ciena Solutions Challenge is a global design challenge inviting middle and high school students all over the world to design solutions addressing the Sustainable Development Goals in their local communities. If you're not familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals, they are a set of 17 goals set through the United Nations in partnership with many countries and organizations around the world around what goals do we need to achieve by 2030 to make the planet more sustainable, habitable, and encourage prosperity for all. And so using these goals, educators and students will use the challenge-based learning framework to actually learn about their challenge and take action. Challenge-based learning is another framework that we really advocate for here at Digital Promise, and it helps guide learners through a process where they can engage in a topic, learn more about it, investigate and really dig deeper into the problems that they want to address, and then finally act to take action on whatever their topic is and create something that is meaningful for them and people in their community. So starting on September 1st, which is next Thursday, we are opening the submission portal. So educators may submit student projects to showcase in the Ciena Solutions Challenge online gallery, and they may also apply for a $2,500 USD award to scale or sustain students' projects. The deadline for applying is March 1st, so we have this window of time where educators and students can work on their projects. You can submit your projects whenever you have them ready. They don't even need to be in the most final form at the time that you submit to go to the gallery or submit for an award, just enough to show us what you've worked on and share where you're headed in the future with student projects. And throughout this process, Digital Promise and Ciena will also provide professional learning and mentoring opportunities to educators and students. And you can register now at cienachallenge.org. Registration is always open. And then once that portal opens next week, then you can actually start submitting projects. So let's meet the educators who are here today with us. First up is Victor at Caleb British International School in Nigeria. Victor, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right, good day, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, my name is Victor Okosun. I am a teacher at Caleb British International School, Nigeria. I teach chemistry. And I really appreciate this platform that Ciena Solution Challenge is putting together. It's a wonderful one. It's a wonderful one. It has really helped me to improve my students, as in to motivate them and to make them have good attitude to learning. It's a good one. I really commend you. And also I want to appreciate my colleague who probably they are on the platform now or they will be joining later. I want to say thank you to them for joining this platform. Thank you so much.
Great. We're going to move on with Theode.
Thank you, Elsie. My name is Theode Nirinda, and I teach at Gayaza High School in Uganda. I'm a teacher of mathematics. Gayaza High School is one of the oldest girls' school in Uganda. And I'm glad that we participated in the Ciena Solutions Challenge because it gave our girls an opportunity to further the projects that they have been running in the community. In the challenge, we ran a project that was geared towards mitigating climate change crisis and its impacts. Our girls had visited the community to do other projects that were not in line with climate change, but with time, they saw that the community was deteriorating as far as the environment is concerned. And when the opportunity came for them to participate in the Ciena Challenge, climate change was one of the themes that they took on so as to make an impact in the community. I'm happy to be part of the discussion. Thank you.
Next up, we have Galen.
Hi, my name is Galen Jenkins. I am the middle school librarian at Rudolph Gordon School in South Carolina in the United States. So I work with students anywhere from 11 to 14 years old. And for our project, we worked with our 6th graders who were about 11. And they picked various goals to investigate in our community. And then we had them present their solutions to various stakeholders who could actually give them good feedback on how they could affect change. So this was an excellent way for us to introduce the global goals to students. And I think the challenge is a really effective way to engage students in their learning. Thank you.
And we also have Jobert. Jobert, which I think, oh, here we go.
Hi.
Hi, Jobert.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well.
Okay,
my name is Jobert Ngwenya. I'm an educator. I'm based in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe at Evelyn High School. I teach middle school and high school entrepreneurship education. So the project that we submitted last year, it's actually early this year, right? Recording in progress. It's a healthy eating, better education project where our young learners came up with a Nutri-Bar. Basically, it was aimed at assisting young people to fight against chronic nutrition insecurity and general food insecurity amongst the young people. So Evelyn High School is a girls' high school. It's located in the inner city of Bulawayo. I've been a teacher. It's a government school. I've been there for the past 10 years now. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Let's move to our first question, which is, how does the Ciena Solutions Challenge give students an authentic purpose for learning? And you can speak specifically from what you've seen in your classrooms with your students. And we're going to start with Victor to kick us off with this question. And then the rest of you all just feel free to jump in after Victor goes ahead and speaks.
All right, thank you very much for that question. Ciena Challenge Solution, in fact, has been a platform that has helped Educator to engage students effectively. The fact that the idea of, what is it called now? Project-based challenge. The idea of project-based challenge has really helped to bring learning from abstract to reality. You know, students don't release their interest until when you are able to show them the application of what they are learning in class. And this is what Ciena Challenge has helped Educator to achieve, how they can actually bring abstract knowledge to real world in the project-based challenge. So that has helped Educator like me personally. It has helped me to be able to get the interest of my learner to pay attention in class. And also the fact that it is competitive. You know, anytime you mention competition, students want to bring their best. They want to bring their best. So when I told them, okay, this project-based challenge is competitive, organized by Ciena Social Challenge, participating by other learners all over the world. So they want to come out the best. So you see them trying to bring the best. And it has really helped Educator to get the best from learner. And the fact that there is a reward attached to it. And you know, when you tell the student, you are not just doing this for fun, there's a reward attached to it. You see them giving out their best. You know, that's what learning is all about, bringing the best from students in a particular topic. And finally, the fact that they are solving real world problems. You know, Ciena Challenge has given us a platform of a project-based challenge that can solve SDG goals, as in real world problem in our society. And when they discover that they are solving a societal problem with the knowledge from classroom, you see the joy radiating all over them. So this is what Ciena Challenge has really helped Educator like me to achieve in my classroom. And I say kudos to you and keep it up. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Victor. I think from my end, this challenge, it challenges students to be creative and think outside the box as they apply the skills and knowledge that they gain in class. It gives them that platform where they can gain skills like research, teamwork, collaborative, problem solving, digital literacy, to name a few. You know, and these are skills that are needed in this 21st century. You know, the world is in need of digital citizens, and the challenge is one way through which our students can become digital citizens. And we know that with digital citizens, they are in a position to solve these world problems, and the alarm bells are very loud and clear that without these skills, it's going to be hard for these students to create a just and a sustainable world. So this kind of platform gives them that chance where they can attain these skills that can enable them to, to be the change makers within their societies. And to me, that's what I find as authentic learning in my view. Thank you.
I agree. I think so many things that my colleagues already mentioned, students use this opportunity to really think outside the bubble that they live in. It gives them kind of the global perspective. And then in our case, we ask them to look at this global problem and think about where in our own community do we have the same problems. So it's kind of giving them that connection to people around the world who deal with the same kinds of problems that we do. We focused especially on giving them an authentic audience for their work. So bringing in experts from our community, connecting our community to our school, and then allowing students to really pursue their own personal interests in school. And I think, at least in the US, there is a very strict kind of curriculum, and it's difficult to break out of that and allow students to bring their personal interests into their learning. So this challenge really gave us an opportunity to allow students to engage in a way that they could collaborate with other people who have interests like them, and then show the world what they could do when they were given the chance.
Okay, thank you very much. In my case, I would say the Ciena Solutions Challenge gave my learners an opportunity to look at the world around them, and then solutions that are relevant to their context. So in knowledge acquisition, they are living in, and secondly, they are acquiring the 21st century skills which are relevant to the communities that they are actually living in. So from that perspective, it actually gave them this motivation to be actively involved. So for this year's project that we're working on, it was under the entrepreneurship education. So as much as they are acquiring, they were also gaining knowledge about entrepreneurship. And to them, coming up with a project that was well accepted by the community, I think it was really a killer. It was really, really working with the community was actually motivating again, in the sense that they were engaging with the world outside the school through social media interactions, and they also participated in 2 conferences. They participated in workshops. They were presenting in workshops. They went out to other schools and shared what they'd done, and so on and so forth. So it really gave them a purpose in life. They saw that learning as we know it, it's not really about acquiring knowledge in classroom for application later in life, but they can learn and come up with impactful products even at high school. So to them, it was something exciting, and it really brought authenticity to the whole learning experience. And maybe I also mention that the global perspective that my colleagues are mentioning came in handy, because in coming up with their project, they had to interact with other people outside their own space, nationally and even outside the country. And they participated in the Youth Made Festival. To them, it was something big. Interacting with students from across oceans. It was something that really showed them that what they are doing is appreciated.
Jobert, I think you froze, so I'm not sure if you can hear me.
all over the world. And lastly, I think the whole the classroom. Yes, I can. Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
you froze up a little bit, so I was just trying to see if you were still there, but you're back now. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So my last point was that the challenge actually gave them an opportunity to bring the world into the classroom, as much as it took the class out of the learning out of the classroom into the world. So that relationship really brought the authenticity. It gave them the purpose that learning is not really about a teacher standing in front of you, but it's something that can be self-directed, something that can be individualized with the teacher coming in as the guide. And to me, maybe I would say the very fact that in some instances, they would take me through some of the things that they would already done. For example, manipulating social media, their communication using social media. It was a plus to me as much as it was motivating to them, teaching a teacher on some of these, digital platforms that are already there. So basically, that's the experience that I would say was mind blowing to my students. Thank you.
Great. So I'd love to hear you all speak about how you aligned or integrated your challenge with your existing curriculum. And we know that you all are coming from very different contexts and subjects, grades. Would love to hear about your experience seeing what the challenge offered and how you aligned it with what you were already doing in the classroom. And we're going to start off with Theo to answer this question.
Thank you, Elsie. Around 2 years ago, Uganda moved away from a content-based curriculum to competence-based curriculum. The content-based curriculum, the teacher was, the know-it-all. The teacher would come and stand in front of the class and would deliver the content and go out. While in the competence-based curriculum, the learning goes back to the students. So the time that Ciena Solutions Challenge came in, our students, I think, had spent close to 2 years at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And they had gone home just when we had just introduced the competence-based curriculum. And in this curriculum, they expected to research, work in groups, present in class. So it was timely, I can say. So when I learned of the offer from Lisa, I tried to gather a few students of mine and, I introduced the initiative, and it was in line what is expected of them in their new curriculum. So the students started working on different projects, different ideas. They started researching, and shortly they returned at school, and that's when they decided that it was important to build on the projects that they were doing in the community. And the fact that the environment was somehow deteriorating, they chose to do a project that is mitigating climate crisis and its impact. So we decided to visit the nearby schools, and with the name of sensitizing these students about the need to conserve the environment. And the new curriculum basically expects the students to move out of their fold classrooms to the community to try and see if there are problems which they can solve. So I can say that it is syncing well with the curriculum that we are undertaking. We are now in the second year, and it's no wonder that when students opt for projects during class, like this term, the students in their geography class, a good number of groups chose to do projects under climate change, And they were doing a lot of wonderful projects, right from recycling, using plastics to urban farming, making dustbins. Some planted more trees in school, and they created more awareness amongst their peers because they feel that climate change crisis is a monster, and it calls for concerted efforts. So I can say that it's building on to what we expect them to do in their classes, and I can't wait to do more projects under Ciena Solutions Challenge. Thank you.
So at our school, I work with all grade levels, and I chose to work with our 6th grade English teachers. So students were about 11 years old for this project, and we focused on the teacher's informational text unit. So we focused on giving them text that reflected the global nature of the goals that they chose, and then local news articles and things like that that they could then analyze for the things that the teachers needed to teach, like text features and things like that. So a lot of the content in the classroom, the existing curriculum, was taught by the teachers doing some very targeted reading, and the students created an annotated bibliography with their work. So that hit a lot of those curriculum standards that we needed to focus on. And then the presentation of the project incorporated a lot of the writing and communication standards that we needed to hit. So the project was almost just the venue that we used to teach the existing curriculum. And the pushback that I get a lot of integrating this kind of learning into schools is that we can't take the time to do these big projects. And this was a great example of how we were able to do that, hit all the curriculum we needed to hit, the test scores were still good, and we engaged students on a whole nother level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then in my case, I would say almost like in the case in Rwanda, 2017, there was a change or a reform in our curriculum from it being more knowledge-based into being competence-based. So the Ciena Solutions Challenge, therefore, came in to fit into what the national curriculum was actually advocating for. And I would say, personally, I embraced the curriculum when it was introduced, but there was a general resistance among the teaching staff, because of lack of motivation and other issues around our politics and so on and so forth. But to me, it was something that was welcome, because then when the curriculum was introduced, I was not yet trained as a teacher. So when I got the training of being a teacher, and I got an opportunity to implement the Ciena Solutions Challenge, I actually saw a match in what the curriculum, the national curriculum, was expecting of my students versus the challenge-based learning. So from that perspective, it really worked out very, very well for me, in the sense that with the competence-based curriculum, students are expected to acquire knowledge, which has always been the case. But aside of that, they're expected to acquire your 21st century skills, collaboration, creativity, innovation, and so on and so forth. So the challenge-based learning therefore came in handy in meeting those competence-based skills that we expected to come up with in our learners. And I'll also say, with the revised curriculum, there is now continuous assessment of learners, which the continuous work that they do throughout the year is added onto the final exam mark that they will do as their school leaving exam. So the project therefore assisted them in coming up with the marks that are needed for their final exam. And lastly, being an entrepreneurial project, as it were, it actually helped us in the entrepreneurship curriculum, which is not school-based, but we have a situation where our students have to compete with other schools nationally. So using the challenge-based learning, we managed to meet the criteria that is dictated to us by the Junior Achievement Zimbabwe, of which last year the major concept was based on innovation. So from that perspective, they managed to meet the innovation component, and of course, all these other components like communication, leadership, and so on. And as a result, they actually participated in the Junior Achievement Regional Company of the Year, where they are competing with other nations. They're competing with Mauritius, South Africa. I know there was Nigeria. There was I think Uganda was there. So it was really an interesting thing to them. The very fact that what they had done took them to the regional competition.
Okay, good day, everyone. For me, I would say it was a very easy one for me to be able to blend the project-based challenge organized by Ciena Solution Challenge with my curriculum, because the school where I teach, Caleb British School in Nigeria, we promote core skills like critical thinking, creativity, and so on and so forth. So this Ciena challenge has availed me the opportunity to be able to promote this skill in my students. Aside that, because we want our students to have these core skills, these 21st century skills, in our school, we have different clubs that can promote that skills. The club I belong in is Young Entrepreneurs Club. So in Young Entrepreneurs Club, the students are expected to solve problems. They're expected to do critical thinking. They're expected to be creative. They are expected to solve problems. So when Ciena Challenge Solution came, it was a plus for me because it is actually in line with the school club that was instituted to promote critical thinking in students. So it was just easy. Like Vicar Port Challenge that we did in last project, it was just from the curriculum, a particular topic, air and water. That was how I was able to manipulate that project. And when the students saw that, wow, this topic actually has application in the society, in the real life, you can see that they were so interested, they were so inspired, and they want to learn, everybody wants to participate. So this activity-based learning, our school has really wants all teachers to embrace it, but Ciena Challenge has just given us a platform to make it easy for us. And I would say it's a good one. It's a good one. I look forward to do more of this. Thank you so much.
Great. So for our next question, we found in our survey at the end of the challenge that 95% of the educators who were surveyed said the challenge helped them meet their teaching goals for the year. So I'd love to hear from you all. In what ways did the challenge help you meet your teaching goals? And we will start with Galen kicking us off with this question.
Thank you. So I'm kind of in a unique position as the middle school librarian. I don't have a class that I teach every day. Everything that I do, I work with teachers to teach in their classes. So for me, the year that we did this challenge was my first year in a new building. And one of my goals was to do a sustained project with a teacher. So this really gave me the platform I needed to kind of integrate myself into the unit from start to finish, and support them. And then the other goal that I had specifically was integrating more hands-on learning opportunities for making for our students. So we integrated things like 3D printing so the students could model and practice that skill, and everything from making pin back buttons in our makerspace to just using materials that they found to create games and things like that. So those were two goals that I had that this single project helped me achieve for an entire grade level. So I was really pleased to have been able to do that. Thank you.
Okay, I think on my side, as an educator, one of my goals is to always churn out students that care about their communities and are always looking for solutions to the challenges that are in their communities. And by us participating in this challenge was one way of meeting my target, because when students move out to these communities to try and find out what the communities are facing, and they try to solve these challenges, and they work hand in hand with the local leaders in the community. To me, that's what I consider to be a success. And it gave them a challenge to research further about the UN global goals. So I'm sure when they participate in the upcoming challenge, they are going to tackle different, global goals. And as educators, we have a role to play as far as fostering the 2030 UN agenda is concerned. And I keep looking forward to that. So it's a good challenge. It's a platform which can, help you realize the different skills within your students, and I keep looking forward to such challenges. Thank you.
All right, for me, it has really helped me to achieve my targets in the classroom. Like, one of my two major targets in my classroom is to be able to inspire my learner, to be able to motivate them so that they can take teaching beyond the four corner walls of the classroom. Most students, when they finish learning the classroom, when they get home, they will forget everything they've learned. So I want to make learning to go beyond just talking in the classroom. I want them to be able to take it outside the classroom, solve problems with it. So I always look forward to inspire my students so that even when the teacher is not there, they will still be learning on their own. So Ciena's challenge has really helped me to meet that target. By bringing this project-based challenge, students now see reason why they should learn. They now see how they can solve societal problems with the knowledge they are acquiring from the classroom. So that has really been an inspiration for all my students, especially there's a joy that comes when you solve a problem. Especially the last project we did, we were trying to solve problems for farmers. And when we visited some farms, and we were now selling our ideas, giving out our projects to them, we see how happy those farmers were. So my students were motivated automatically. They were inspired automatically. So even when the teacher is not in the class, they are doing research on their own. So that's that's it, my target always when I get to the classroom. And Ciena Challenge has given me opportunity to achieve that goal. Another goal that I always look forward is to be able to bring critical thinking and collaboration, the ability to work together. You know, no man is an island of his own. So I want students to work together to achieve a common goal. And Ciena Challenge has really afforded us an opportunity. And I will say thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Okay. So in my case, I would say I have 3 goals that I managed to achieve thanks to taking part in the Ciena Solutions Challenge. The first goal was that of obviously covering the curriculum, the content part and the skills part. So during the learning time, I had an opportunity to travel outside the country. So I had 6 weeks of absence, but even in my absence, my students were learning. So the very fact that using challenge-based learning puts the learner at the center of the whole learning process, therefore made me achieve that. I managed, even if I was out of school for 6 weeks, my student managed to cover. I remember at some point communicating with the deputy head, and she was like, no, your students are doing very well. Of course, we found someone who's helping them through, but really the feedback that we are getting is that they are working on their own. So I would say I managed to cover the content, and when I came back, I discovered that even the skills part was actually covered. So on that goal, it was really a check. And then secondly, under entrepreneurship education, our goal when we set up at the beginning of the year, we actually want to compete nationally. We also want to compete regionally and even globally. So using the Ciena challenge as the Ciena Solutions Challenge, we actually managed to compete nationally, and we came position first, as I've already explained that part. We also participated regionally. And the Ciena Solutions Challenge Sustainability Award itself, to us, was the global competition that we took part in. So that very fact of us competing at national level, at regional level, and at global level, to me was a success. And lastly, in our context, technology is still being viewed with some suspicion. Its integration in the learning, teaching and learning. So as educators, of course, we're allowed to use technology. The few gadgets that we have, we do use them. But personally, I've been advocating that let's also allow learners to bring in their own gadgets into the classroom. But there's been some resistance from some teachers, from the administration, even some parents are not yet comfortable doing that. But using the challenge-based learning framework, we actually managed to make them aware that they can use these digital technologies appropriately to meet the 21st century core skills, and to actually meet, the knowledge acquisition that our curriculum demands, and the digital skills that on paper we are supposed to, to infuse in the learners, but practically, because of the bottlenecks that are there in terms of technologies, we are still finding it hard. So I would say I managed to make a point that we can actually integrate a technology in the classroom for the good of the teaching and learning process, as long as we, as the teachers and the educators, we are there to guide our learners on how to go about it, and to also be in a position to accept that they are digital natives. They understand, at least in our context, they understand these technologies better than we do. And if we put them at the center of learning, they can actually assist us in navigating technologies. So basically, I would say those are the three goals that I managed to score as a result of the challenge. Thank you very much.
Great. So we just have a few minutes left. And another thing that we received from the survey is that 95% of educators who were surveyed said the challenge helped them build and develop relationships with their students. So with just a couple minutes left, would love for each of you to just share a few sentences about how the challenge supported relationship building between you and your students. And we'll start with Jobert.
So I would say in my case, since I've already mentioned that I was out of the class for 6 weeks, sometime during the time we're working on our project. When I came back, I actually discovered that there were learners that were maybe taking a back seat when I was in class before, but when they had that time of working on their own, they developed this, the courage to stand up and present themselves. They discovered that they can actually be good communicators. And from that perspective, I then had to get closer to such students and understand them even better. And maybe what initially made them, take the backstage in class, and why they had suddenly, bloomed to become who they are. So from that perspective, I would say, the challenge was really helpful. And secondly, it also made me understand individual needs of these students. In my case, it's a girls' school. So there's a lot of emotion going on and so on and so forth. But because of the challenge, our approach to teaching was sort of relaxed. And the very fact that it was relaxed, we had individual work, we had pair work, we had group work. It wasn't, the formal way of doing things that we've been doing, such that I walk in, I deliver content and move out. So the very fact that it was a relaxed kind of an environment, it then made everyone become friendly to the teacher, understand the teacher, and above all, the teacher himself understanding the individual needs of the learners, and then addressing them. And maybe besides the relationships with the students, as it were, it also helped me to relate with some of the parents. So understanding the student itself then make me be inquisitive of how they are relating to their parents, the role of their parents in their education, and so on and so forth. So, and I would say it actually helped. There's some students we had situations that needed the psychological services to intervene, and I would say all that came because we had this kind of a relaxed learning environment when we were implementing the Ciena Solutions Challenge. Thank you very much.
For me, I would say that the challenge has really helped me to relate well with my student. I don't know if you've had a scenario whereby student would dislike a particular subject because he does not like the teacher. It happens. It happens because he does not like that. He will just dislike your subject. But Ciena's challenge has helped me to build a kind of relationship that my student, they see me as a teammate rather than a big boss. So that I enjoy a lot. That relationship, I enjoy it a lot. So they can easily confide in you. They no longer see you as a big boss. They are no longer scared. And when they are no longer scared, they can easily come for you for help, and you know how to help them. So it's a good one for me. It's a good one for me. Thank you very much.
I think from my end, nothing gives me joy like working alongside my students for a common goal. And I can confidently say that this challenge brought out the best in most of my students. You could easily, get to know what kind of skills that some of these learners are having. And surprisingly, there are things we could, learn together, and other things I could learn from them. So it created that kind of environment where we could exchange freely. And I can't wait to start the next phase of challenge. They're always asking when the challenge is going to start. And this year, I am not sure how I'm going to handle the numbers, because the excitement is, so they're excited. They're looking forward to, more engagements, and, that's the kind of environment as a teacher I would love to have with my students. Thank you.
Victor, you made me laugh. The big boss, they really do see us that way. It comes across as like, oh, well, you tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. And I think that's one of the things that this challenge really empowers them in a way. And several of you mentioned, like, their understanding of technology is even better than ours. How they choose to leverage that technology is really powerful. And so kind of balancing the relationship between a student and a teacher is part of the power of this challenge. For me as a librarian, it gave me much more sustained contact with the students. I was able to build a little bit more of a relationship outside of, hey, what kind of books do you like? And really talk about the things that they care about, the things that make them engaged in their learning, and to encourage them to take the risks and know that we will be there to support them. Take the risk, and then we help you. But this is all about putting themselves out there. And if they don't trust you, and if they don't feel like they can take those risks, the challenge won't be as successful. So I think that to take those risks and make that real learning happen.
Great. So we have about 5 minutes left. I wanted to leave some time for Q&A in case anyone watching had any questions about the challenge. You can feel free to unmute yourself, or you can write something in the chat.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm curious as to how the panelists came to their final ideas. What was the process that you used to develop what your focus idea was going to be at your school site? I'm curious about that.
Okay, if I may go first, I guess when I introduced the challenge to the students, they all came with different ideas. And that time I remember we were meeting online because they were in that first holiday due to COVID pandemic. So the students came up with different ideas, and we met a number of times as we scaled down on the ideas. And finally, we zeroed on to what is workable within our community and what was dear to most of them. And that's how we came up with a project that tries to mitigate climate change crisis and its impacts.
Okay, in my case, I would say I just told them that we have to come up with the project that meets our social problem, something that answers to the social problem that we have. And trust me, I'm not really sure how they settled for the nutritional project that they came up with. Because what happened, this whole thing of technology, we were on a lockdown, so we were communicating through WhatsApp. At some point, students being students, they would just become so careless, and they waste their time on these trivial issues. So they created a parallel group, and I didn't know about it. And in that parallel group, that's where they came up with all this, the idea and so on and so forth. And when they brought it to me, they'd actually met privately without my knowledge, and they'd come up with the product already. So to me, that was quite exciting, because the very fact that I just told them this is where we're going, and they did all the donkey work, and they came up with the project. It was really quite exciting. They took the lead, and I was just there as a spectator who just told them this is where we're supposed to be going. And really how they fitted the bolts and nuts together, I'm still not sure how they came about it.
Okay, for me, we usually have a brainstorming session. Now, during that brainstorming session, I will tell them, come up with an idea that can solve problem. So you see them coming with different ideas, and then I will now harmonize the idea and see the one we can work on. That was how we came about the Vika part of the thing. How they were actually coming with great ideas. So I now help them to narrow it down. We want to solve problem of farmers so that we don't have most of their fruit and vegetable getting perished annually. So how do we solve that problem? And in this part of the world, Africa, we don't have stable power supply. So how can we solve that problem so that farmers don't lose their vegetable and fruits without depending on power? So they just come with different ideas. So I was just there to guide them and then help them to narrow down the idea. And that was how we came about our last project. It's just brainstorming session. Thank you so much.
So for us, I was working with children who really don't have a whole lot of life experience yet. So asking them about problems in the world, they were like, oh, we need to save white tigers. And it's like, okay, well, so that's why we came to the Ciena Solutions Challenge, was because we needed some framework for like, okay, what kind of problems are there out there in the world? And that's how we kind of had to narrow it down for them. For us, because of time and just maturity, we chose, I think, 6 of the goals to focus on. So we introduced those goals to them, and they got a basic overview. They chose which goal they were interested in, and we put them in like groups, and then they used those groups to come up with what problems they wanted to solve and the solutions for them. So ours was a really diverse thing. I think looking back at it, we might narrow even further so that students we don't have so many of the same things happening in the same, like we had 3 groups working on food insecurity and they all came up with roughly the same idea. So we should consolidate that and they all work together. So that's something that moving forward, we would probably change.
Great. So we're actually almost at time. And I want to respect everyone's time here. But if you have any more questions, you can definitely reach out directly to myself. You can reach out to Lisa or Carissa, and we'll put our email addresses in the chat. And we're also going to have an orientation next Thursday, September 1st. So if you have any more questions that you want to ask us, you can join that orientation. We'll go over all of the different details of the challenge, how to get involved, how to get started, and then there'll be more time for Q&A and for asking us questions about how to get started. So like I mentioned before, the challenge is open now for educators to register. So you can go to cienachallenge.org. At the top right of the page, you can register now, and then you'll be added to our mailing list. So all of our events like this, when we have roundtables, when we have orientations, when we have sessions in the future with students and teachers and Ciena employees to help teams work through their challenge, you'll be invited to all of those sessions. So you can register now. And then in the meantime, you can join us next Thursday, September 1st for our orientation. So I want to thank you all for coming today. Thank you to each of our panelists for sharing your time and experiences with us. And again, I believe our contact information's in the chat. So if you need to reach out, feel free to contact us anytime. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, everyone.